Hello and welcome to Pro Trader Strategies Market Commentary for Monday, October the 12th. I'm Eric Wilkinson, and you very well may recognize me from mainstream media, where I've talked about the economic data, the geopolitical environment, how that comes in to impact the markets with my market analysis. I'm going to do the same thing for you folks out there, but I'm going to go a little bit further and talk about option strategies I'm implementing in my portfolio on any given basis, based on some guidelines that I've come up with for you all in order to implement these strategies. We don't just pick option strategies out of the hat. We follow a specific guideline that I'm laying out in my courses for you to find the right strategy for your assumption. That's what we do on any given basis, or any given day, I should say. We look at the markets, we watch TV, we come up with a directional bias in something. Well, how do we find the right option strategy for that? And options are powerful in that just going out and buying the stock can be margin intensive. And if you want to short it, what do? There's a headache involved in shorting stocks, and you can't always even go out there and borrow any given stock. But with options, I can show you how to implement those around those assumptions for a lot less money, outlay of money anyway. All right, so on to the overall markets. We've got nothing to talk about on the economic data because it is a bank holiday. It's Columbus Day here in the United States. Even Canada has a bank holiday. So a lot lower volume is going to be seen today, as probably most of Wall Street, at least the banking sector, is going to be off today. Also this week, though, we are in the beginning onset of earnings. So keep your eyes out for earnings trades on my Twitter handle at Wolfman's blog, because it is starting off with the banks as normal. So we have a bunch of banks coming out this week and a couple of other good ones that I'm going to play. Probably play the bank stocks to the upside because I think they've done pretty well in this environment. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was there's a couple other good ones. What was it? Oh, Johnson & Johnson today. I'm going to be doing because it is before the market open tomorrow. Like I said, we've got Morgan Bank, Citi, Charles Schwab, a bunch of other ones coming out. Delta Airlines, the airlines are going to be starting to come out as well. So I'm going to be looking to short the airlines because I haven't seen anything good there. Probably get long the banks, and something like Johnson & Johnson going to be looking for long deltas, not necessarily long the underlying, but getting positive deltas in the banks, and in like Johnson & Johnson, short deltas in something like the airline. So if you don't know what I mean by long deltas, short deltas, please go check out our webinars. All right, so crude oil coming off. Today actually this weekend, I was noticing gas was above $2.50 in a lot of areas. So that getting above that $40 a barrel is starting to get the gas pump jacking up there. And if you think about it, I mean, it's only $2, but it's $2 that you would spend elsewhere. I mean, what I'm talking about is a tank of gas, right? What I'm saying is 50 cents. Actually, it's more than that. It's almost $5, right? $7.50 on a tank of gas that is going into that, as opposed to going out there and buying your Starbucks, right? Because if it's 50 cents a gallon, you got 16 gallons. Well, what do we got? We've got about $7.50 there, kind of throwing it away right into the gas tank, where we could spend that $7.50 somewhere else. All right, so gold futures Friday did get back above that 1923 area we've been talking so much about. So that was what I was saying. The bulls really wanted to get above there and keep it above there. And why did we start rallying? Is it really on the stimulus? That's what I've been talking about. The stimulus package going through is going to push gold higher. But now it's kind of like, are we going to get a smaller stimulus package this year before the election? Or are the Democrats and Republicans going to battle it out, and they're going to have to wait until basically January in order to have a bigger stimulus package to bail out some of these different municipalities and pension funds for the government, which I don't necessarily agree with. But that's my soapbox, I guess, if you would, what I'm standing on, talking about that. So, but I do think that there is a need for a stimulus package for the people. All right, so gold is still holding on to that 1923 area, and we've got the bonds higher on the day as well, just by about 5 ticks, so not a big deal. And having a lot more trouble than I expected to get back above the 200-day simple moving average, which we have lined up, and it is bumping up it against it again today. Wasn't able to get through it on Friday. You can see we maybe pierced it a little bit, but really trending along the 200-day simple moving average here. And that is going to act as a support and resistance. Now it's acting as a resistance, obviously, now, but trying to get above that. I think interest rates are going to stay lower for the foreseeable future. Also, keep in mind, I think that, we continuously lower, Fed, speak. Some of the guys talking last week were talking about supporting this market again. So that means going in and supporting the equities and probably suppressing the bond interest rate by pushing the interest rates down. That means they have to push the price higher. So I think price is going to go higher. So if I look at it as price going higher, you got a teeter-totter, right? Well, that means interest rates go down. All right. So anytime we get that price moving this way, if we get that move, well, that means interest rates are going down. They're completely inversely correlated. While supporting this market, meaning coming in and buying it with the Fed, that means they're trying to push interest rates back down there. All right, so then let's move over to the VIX. VIX still in the 20s. The 20s is the new teens for the VIX. And that's despite the fact that we are seeing equities really rip to the upside. We can see the Dow Jones Industrial Average up a point on the day right now, very near the high. Almost no reprieve here to the upside. Now, keep in mind, we talked about today is a holiday. So there are a lot of banks, a lot of major hedge funds, things of that nature, probably are sitting on the sidelines today, maybe taking an extra day for the weekend. And this is, I think, more momentum from probably the retailer that is coming in and giving this market a little bit of a boost today. We're seeing some big jumps in like Google and some other names there to the upside. Now you can see the NASDAQ really leading the way. I mentioned Google, right, already. Also ahead of the Apple 12. Apple really getting a rocket ship to the upside getting ready to release the iPhone 12, which is 5G compatible and all of that stuff. This is really what's pushing these tech markets to the upside. Some of those major names inside of the tech sector pushing NASDAQ back into this super old trend channel there. And we might actually see us start to move in there. Now, something we talked about with last week as well was this setting up as a head and shoulders, where you got the shoulders there, the head, and another shoulder with the neckline piercing that and just ripping to the upside again today. So market really taking off and creating a nice inverse head and shoulders, which is, a positive to the upside for equities if we're going to continue that. Now, obviously, this is why I was discounting it a little bit, very sloppy on this head and shoulders here in the E-mini S&Ps, but more of probably what some people would say is a cup and handle, but not a perfect example of a cup and handle there, which gives markets move to the upside there as well, with the E-mini S&Ps up over a point or 1.5% right now, 57 points and change. Let's take a look at the daily breakdown here. Overnight inventory very long. No attempt for us to get those guys flushed out and then just a snap. No, I mean, is there even a red candle during the day session? Maybe right off the open, and then just unabated to the upside. So the market's really feeling strong today, as there's not a whole lot of institutional trade to the opposite of this. All right, something I wanted to talk about with a friend of mine. Went to the movies this weekend and just walked over to the theaters. Didn't actually go in, and said it was just literally desolate. Another thing is I drive by medieval times when I'm taking my kid to soccer, and that place has been empty. I don't even know if they're open. And they are on tribal land, so they're on a reservation, so they don't actually have to follow the same guidelines as the rest of the state, and they aren't open. All right, so, or they aren't getting anybody to show up there. Now, something, I'm not a huge theater guy. I don't like to really go and sit at the movie theaters myself. I'd rather watch it at home with my surround sound and TV and stuff. So, I'm not in this camp that I would jump on the chance to go to a movie theater. I know there's a lot of people that love to do that, but I think that if you are involved in this, I'd cut your losses while you have the opportunity, because I just don't see this coming back anytime soon. Even if we have the reopening trade, it's just the fact that you are sitting so close to somebody all around you, or who was just here, 5 minutes before I got here in the last movie for 3 hours. They talk about the fact that when you're in these types of settings, that the longer exposure you have to somebody that's sick, the more likely you are going to get sick. Well, this is that kind of camp. Also, you guys remember I talked about like Carter and stuff like that doing very well going forward, as people are going to be putting on scrubbers and black light and stuff like that, and blue lights to kill the virus as it goes through all the HVAC and stuff like that. Well, I don't think that these AMCs have that kind of technology, and all of that is swirling around into the different places as they have the air conditioning units like cranking up and pumping air out. It's circulating throughout all of these different theaters. So even though, and they've been talking about the 6 feet distance is one thing, but when you have the ventilation systems like blowing this air, it can actually travel much further when you got those kind of major HVAC systems moving that airflow. So these guys are going to be one of those places where I think people are going to shy away from. On that kind of note. Also, Stephen King said he went to a movie and there was 4 people there in the whole theater, not just in the movie, but in the entire theater. All right, so I'm still also, I don't think I've got, I wanted to throw a chart up of Google. It's just blasting off to the upside, as you can see here, up 56 points. A couple of things that I'm doing right now, trying to get out of this Kroger, very close, you guys. I'm about probably 40 cents away at best. Actually, I'm probably 50 cents away at this point in time. Yeah, maybe 40, 50 cents away on the upside. So if I get up to 35.25, I think I'm going to be able to get out of this trade. And if you remember, in this, I have on the January, I got long the 35 calls in there for $1.57. Now I'm trying to get about a 50% increase in there. So that's right around 225. And that's right. I'm actually working a 220 offer, not squeezing it out. It's probably closer to 225 as that 50% increase. But this market's been banging back and forth up against that 35 handle. So, I've had one opportunity to get out for 220, and that was last week, as you can see right here. So I'm looking to get out of that trade in and around that area as well. Also, I think that's about it. But like I said, I'm going to be looking at JNJ for earnings, playing that to the upside today. A lot of these aren't having a ton of volatility in these markets. I headed into this earnings, I would have expected a little bit more volatility creeping up into this earnings cycle, but we're not really seeing it. But having said that, after the earnings is over, I am expecting volatility to come out of these trades. So I'm still going to be looking at selling option premium. So keep your eye out that. We'll talk about that a little bit more in detail tomorrow. I haven't figured out strike locations for these because, according to those guidelines that I come up with for the earnings course, which you guys should check out before starting to implement any option strategies around earnings. Make sure you check out that course on earnings, because those are specific guidelines for that. But I'm going to be talking a little bit more about these trades that I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Delta UAL is also this week. I don't think it's tonight, but it might be after yeah, after the market closed tomorrow, or sorry, Wednesday. So a little bit later this week. So I'm going to probably be playing these to the downside, the airlines to the downside, Johnson & Johnson to the upside, and probably the banks to the upside at this point in time. All right, that's all I got for you guys, other than we do have one other thing to go over. So please take a moment to go over our disclaimer, as we are an educational company. I'm not trying to solicit you guys to lemming off the cliff with me. I'm trying to educate you guys on the highest probability strategies out there and how to implement those strategies according to some specific rules. It's up to you to come up with your own directional assumptions. All right, that's all I got for you guys. Hope you had a great weekend, and if you can't take that, take it easy.